You have entered the Chronic's rabbit hole, and Linkin Park fans, Loudwire fans, welcome to or welcome back to the channel. My name is Kyle, aka Chronic, and I just had to check this video out. I love Loudwire. This is a channel I always looked up before I became my own YouTuber, and I love Linkin Park. They have an awesome title here, the strangest hit song ever. We all know this is going to be about In the End. As it says, it's a song you've sung 100 times before. It feels empowering, but it's entirely hopeless. That's not normal for such a massive worldwide hit. Here, we take a deep dive into this Linkin Park song, its message, its story, and its impact on fans. It impacted my life so much that if it weren't for Linkin Park, I really don't think I would be here. That's how important they are to me. So, because you all have been supporting me so much, Linkin Park underground and fans, now we are doing this one together to see really why Linkin Park became such a massive band after this incredible hit and album, Hybrid Theory. One of the coolest things from Hybrid Theory is they actually had 4 singles, and In the End was the 4th release. So we already had Paper Cut, One Step Closer, and Crawling to be fully invested into this incredible band, Linkin Park. But then once they brought out In the End, that really was the game changer that put them into the stratospheres of one of the best bands of all time, at least one of the best first albums ever, in my opinion, from any band, hands down. So now it actually makes me think of even From Zero and how they started. I definitely think of the Emptiness Machine the most because it was the first, and it was just so happy to hear Linkin Park again. But one of their most recent releases, Over Each Other, is the one that really hit me the most, and it's really about some tough subject, even though it sometimes gives me the most catharticness and makes me feel the best at the end. So I'm really excited to see the strangest hit song ever.
As much as we think songwriters can really write about any subject in the world, if you look at the most popular songs in the last 50 plus years, it boils down to a lot of the same main themes: love, relationships, empowerment, growing up, anger, grief. But every now and then, a song will sneak through the cracks that turns that formula upside down. And
no,
wait.
Wait. Just to see those already that they're trying to mix them with there. Let's see this again. You got Queen.
Through the cracks, it turns that formula upside
David
down.
Bowie.
And becomes
Eminem.
a hit despite it.
I forgot his name. What is that guy? Gangnam Style. What was his name though? I know it was something Gangnam Style. I can't remember his name. And like all hits that somehow fall through the cracks. You're so right. And
its unique subject matter. In 2000,
Bloodhound Gang!
Linkin Park exploded onto the scene with their hugely successful album Hybrid Theory. The first 2 singles did pretty good commercially, but there was one song in particular that shot them into superstardom. No, it wasn't a love song. No, it wasn't an empowering ballad. But instead this weird rap rock track about self-loathing and hopelessness. An almost nihilistic song tapping into the emotional confusion of a new generation. It wasn't a song about meaning and deep importance. It was a track almost about giving up, because in the words of Linkin Park, in the end, it doesn't even matter.
It starts with
Music should be your life, period. You need to live it, you need to eat it, sleep it, wake up, and the only way you're ever even gonna have a chance to make it in this business is if you are willing to sacrifice everything to achieve your goal.
By the year 2000, a ragtag group from Southern California, DJ record scratches, rapping, distorted guitars and all, were excited to finally release their debut album. For years, Linkin Park had struggled getting a record deal, battling record labels to ensure they'd retain their own creative control.
So I like the way it starts off. It's kind of mellow. You aren't quite sure where they're going with it. It's a good intro for radio, too. It could be a
sure
nice
is.
But staying true to themselves was about to pay off.
What's so odd about the song is it's almost talking about these things and saying, like, I don't have any answers.
In the End was the 3rd single off of Hybrid Theory, and while it featured much of the typical heaviness of the nu metal trend at the time, the track is also wrestling with unique and bizarre themes too.
Because usually a song isn't about having no answers, right? It just kind of runs itself around in a circle.
But it's honest.
It was that feeling of hopelessness as a young man, where co-lead vocalist Mike Shinoda got the initial inspiration for In the End.
Especially as a young person, that's just how I felt. Like, that's how we all felt. We didn't know what to make of things, and I think, in a sense, like, that's still what goes on today. It's a timeless and universal thing.
Years of seemingly getting no.
Do you see how close they were together when they were jamming there? I don't think I've ever seen that visually. I know a lot of other people have been in bands and have probably seen that, but that is. And I remember seeing that first interview with the Apple Music with the Linkin Park there. I think it was Apple TV Music, something like that. And that's what they were talking about. The interviewer said when they came into the room for the interview, when they were that young, they had all the hair dye. They had that look. They were so punk rock American, but they were bringing something unique about what they were feeling. And that circling thought of, in the end, it doesn't really matter. We don't have the answers. So you got to go all in regardless. And I think that's what Chester was trying to say. With music, yes, but with anything in life, you got to go all in if you want to get the fruits of your labor.
Nowhere in Music had left Mike in a grimy rehearsal studio in West Hollywood one night where he'd locked himself in.
You weren't supposed to stay overnight, but they let me stay there because I wanted to kind of spend more time with the music. And outside it was like, you know, junkies and prostitutes.
Mike wasn't going to leave this space until he had a song in his hands. It started with something simple on the piano.
Wow, Mike made that.
So I wrote that piano line, the chords to the chorus. I wrote some raps. I did all of the programming for all the beats. I knew I wanted to do the back and forth. Like, he would sing a line and then I would rap.
It starts with I don't know why. Doesn't even matter how hard you try.
On the surface, In the End sounds like a nu metal power ballad about a failed relationship where the main character has wasted time and effort for nothing.
Yeah. Surprise the cat so far. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't recognize me.
But In the End's theme of hopelessness cuts much deeper than just a breakup. Mike writes about doing everything right in the world.
Also, Loudwire, I really, knowing now how YouTube works and how you have to make certain videos to get past certain things, I'm very impressed they are getting past some of the Linkin Park copyrights.
Failing, made worse by all the valuable time he's wasted in that effort. Maybe it's a metaphor for how Mike felt about the band leading up to Hybrid Theory, feeling hopeless that all the work he was putting in year after year would amount to nothing.
Inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard.
In the middle of the nu metal boom, Hybrid Theory was anything but frat boy rock.
We don't want to be rock/rap. We want to be Hybrid Theory.
Made it successful was Linkin Park's songwriting ability to come up with heavy riff roaring rock bangers, but to also be relatable to a generation of teenagers feeling misunderstood and lost in the world. Linkin Park was a gateway from pop to metal. They made it all right to like aggressive music, but to stay true to your emotional self, to still be vulnerable and honest.
Hell
Those
yeah!
kids had a thing that they listened to. Like, I'm a rock kid, I'm a rap kid, I'm this, I'm that. And then once, by the time Hybrid Theory came out and like some other, I think a few years later, you'd ask somebody, what do you listen to? And they say everything.
The name Hybrid Theory, like, that was the intention behind, and that's what felt so good about that name, was it described us perfectly. We take all these different things and we splice them up and we put them together to create something new, and that's our identity.
Well, it was that heavy, vulnerable hybrid that made Linkin Park stand out amongst the swath of nu metal bands at the time. Another main part of the band's appeal was lead singer Chester Bennington.
Got that right.
Chester had the ability to capture the emotion and turmoil of life in his singing. It created a profound and somber energy to the material, something missing from the rest of the rap rock wannabes during that era. And he bundled it all up into some of the most memorable and gut-busting anthemic parts to sing along to.
In you.
I consider Chester one of the best singers of our time.
I mean, and that's not just being in the band with the guy. I would challenge anybody to sing the stuff that he sings, to cover the song, and make it sound anything like him. You can't do it.
Emily Armstrong.
Put my trust in you.
Oh, he's so
with Chester's
good.
ability to transform any song with his powerful voice, obviously he had a big say into band decisions. But ironically, he was adamantly against picking In the End as one of the singles to the album. He later admitted he didn't even like the song that much, and even wanted it off the record entirely. But lucky for Linkin Park, the rest of the band loved it and outvoted him. Still, even Mike couldn't have predicted the effect the song would have on a young generation and the superstardom it would give the band.
It didn't feel like a hit song. I wouldn't know what a hit song felt like. I was too young. All it was I was feeling despondent. I was feeling like we're doing all this stuff. We're trying to like realize some kind of identity or some kind of like meaning, and it's not working.
In hindsight, Hybrid Theory, and more specifically In the End, is the high water mark of the nu metal genre. Hybrid Theory has remained the best-selling rock album of the 21st century, with In the End ranking in the top 100 most streamed songs on Spotify, passing the 2 billion mark in 2024.
Our special guest on this one is our favorite special guest of the whole night.
Linkin Park's fan base is really very tight-knit family.
It's you guys.
And we play that song, I've told the fans, like, we're going to start the song and I want you to sing Chester's part.
Wow. Of course, it's hard not to look at In the End's themes and relate it to Chester Bennington's mental health struggles and his early death. The track is unique in our culture because it doesn't have a triumph over adversity, no strength in self. Still, despite the song's sentiment of failing and quitting, no Linkin Park fan would ever say they felt that way when belting along to it.
It's more of a culture than just like a music group
the Linkin
and a
Park
bunch of people who like music.
Sure, in the end, it may not even matter, but when that sentiment is shared, as opposed to kept within, it validates that feeling of hopelessness. It's shared catharsis.
Oh man, shared catharsis.
It's symbolic of the relationship between the band and the fans. Like there is a blurred line in our relationship between where we end and they begin.
Wow. Good job, Jared from Loudwire. That was emotionally incredible.
In 2000.
Wow. It's always so interesting to still see Chester. It's not even trying to get emotional there. It's like when you see him talking in 2017 in that video there and you know what happened. And then you're listening to In the End and the full circleness of really what it's meant to so many people. I remember going to that concert and then seeing everyone there and realizing how uniquely different everyone was, but how we all were thinking the same thing. And then, like they're saying, Hybrid Theory then really made sense to me. It really is another name for the band, even though they're Linkin Park. Hybrid Theory is another foundational piece as to what they really mean to everyone. They brought in, like Mike was saying, everyone has something they like about music or a type or a genre, but eventually everyone starts saying they like everything because you eventually love all the food you start eating, whether it's Mexican, Italian, so on and so forth. So the fact that they knew this from the get-go and they just needed to stay themselves, the love of music, the love of going all in, which they did for us. They went all in for this music industry because they needed it, but also for the unique fan base of the blurred line of what Linkin Park actually is. Because Mike's trying to give it out to people like you and me who are the reasons why they feel like they can keep doing this music itself. So I think it's just phenomenal to think about really what In the End did to the world at the time, especially for a semi-younger generation. When that song came out, I even remembered asking, what is the point? Like, is there a point? And because if there's not a point, like, is that why you should go hard? Is it easier to go harder and all in knowing there's not a point? So really you can't fuck up because it's just how you're doing it. And in the end really helped me for my own existential problems. And I'm seeing how it really has for every single person. Yet Linkin Park is a band that is such a group experience, but it's such an individualistic experience too. And it affects everyone so differently. So I think this was a really good, well orchestrated kind of mini documentary to see why this strange hit really took off in the new millennium. And this song also came at a time right when I moved. It was my first move as a family. And I know a lot of people know how hard moves can be for kids and all that when you lose all your friends and have to move on. And that's very difficult. So this song is just such a healing song, even though it's so desolate in its message at the end. But I mean, that's life sometimes. That's it's very nihilistic, like they said, but sometimes you're thinking like that. So it was definitely at the time. I'm feeling a lot better these days. So In the End isn't even one of my favorite songs from Linkin Park anymore. Like Chester said, I think we all can be okay to say, even if In the End isn't one of our favorite songs anymore from them. Maybe we like their higher tempo stuff with like more positive messages, right? So I am just so happy that they are still going. I had to go check this video to really reminisce about why they are so special, because we're now from zero again. And if any of you are going to that From Zero tour, please let me know in the comments below, because if you're going to the Vancouver leg at Rogers Arena next year, I will be there with my fiance and son, and we're going to have a blast and hope to see as many of the Linkin Park Underground there as well. If you had a good time, hit that like button on your way out, and subscribe if you are new and you want to see more Linkin Park come down the rabbit hole. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. We are now exiting the rabbit hole, folks. Peace and love. God bless y'all.